Okay, if you were successful with your EDPs and Mrs. Copico and Zello on Thursday, then this should be played on Friday. If the sub told me that if something happened, then I will have an adjustment and you're playing this on Thursday, and then we will adjust for Friday. So here we go. It's all ends up being the same. So looking at, again, I talked about this twice, maybe even three times in class. In the notebook as a checkpoint for Friday, end of class. This and you had this for a couple days. Why were European powers able to spread imperialism using this big map idea here, using this big slideshow, and we would look at why were they able to spread imperialism? Like the island countries of Great Britain claimed the most land. They bragged the sun never sets in Europe. Germany got into the game too late, had to settle for a few colonies in Africa. Italy got in even later. We could see, for example, that Britain and Spain generally avoided each other. So some of the trends, Britain and France often claim the same in the same general area. So there's some questions there, specifically um, uh, here that describe certain aspects that you can see here within the questions for why were European powers able to spread imperialism. Fairly straightforward. This slideshow will help you. The GIF atlas may not help you quite as much as the slideshow, which pretty much just lays it out there. Probably one of the easiest things you'll do. Now, getting into much harder, we've been looking at the Sepoy Rebellion. So the first thing you're going to do with the Sepoy Rebellion is you're going to look at, and I need to move over here, you're going to look at 13.1. This is a completion assignment. You're going to have next week probably have a scored essay, 0 to 4 SPG scored essay for this. But first, section 1 is very straightforward, describing what was going on in the Sepoy Rebellion. We'd start looking at the play on Thursday. That will be continuing on Monday. These are very basic questions about the Sepoy Mutiny. The first part of the form addresses these particular questions. You need to be able to answer these questions and continue to answer them until you get them all correct. Now, the second part deals with documents. And the documents are here. And these documents we've seen before. They are ones that are asking you to use various skills such as sourcing, close reading, corroboration, what do other documents say. So you're comparing these documents, close reading, what claims does the author make, what evidence does the author use, sourcing, who wrote it, why was it written, contextualization, when and where was the document created. Always the key, look at the italicized part, right? Like, for example, Gardner's English history. This was an English historian and professor of history. These are all related to the Sepoy Rebellion. So if you look at, for example, if we're going to look at the question, and there's some questions at the end about multiple choice questions, and there's some questions that ask you about sourcing. These questions here, all these with C to ROM, document B, document C. You may want to copy and paste these, or I'll send you a copy of your responses back. So if you have to do it again, because I'm just gonna score these. And if you're confident in your responses, you may have to copy and paste them out. In order to be able to repeat the multiple choice questions. So these are according to Campbell, why did the British take control of the Ouda? So these are referring to Sir Colin Campbell. It's the same impossible to associate the revolt and the removal of the Muslim king of Ouda. So why did he take control? So the province would have always maintained its independence. So this is talking about. So the question is, why did the British take control of Ouda? But the lengthy system of government had been too bad to be tolerated. The court was a mere hotbed of oppression, intrigue, and sensuality. So these are the reasons right here why the British take control of Ouda. These are fairly straightforward to read. You just have to spend you do have to spend a little bit of time reading them. Now, the other question asks, how does C to ROM, one of the multiple choice questions, why is document B bias? Well, if you remember bias, document B is written from the perspective of a British commander, right? And so he first discusses the Hindu sepoys. These soldiers, good members of various castes or levels in the Hindu religion. And so Sir Colin Campbell is a British commander. So we clearly see that he has some bias. That one's asking you to compare documents A and E. How are they similar? Well, if you look at document A, you can see it's an English history, and then document E, you could also see that Kuhil is a historian. So you can see that it's written from the perspective of a historian. How are they similar? How are they different? Select all that apply here. How are document E and document D different? So you can see that they are both. Um, how are they different? What did they emphasize that may be different? So Kuhil is writing in 2007, right? You'll notice, and then excuse me, I'm not going to re-record just because I coughed there. So, and then you'll notice that Gardner's English history was written, turn of the century, a little maybe 30 years after. So he's writing this for American students in 1881. So even in the mid 1800s, remember the Sepoy Rebellion happens in 1857. So there's a difference in time too. Look at this one's written in 2007. The document E is written in 2007. So more time has passed. But remember, those are select all that apply. So these and all the matching and multiple choice for the basic British reading, you need to get all correct. You'll need to perhaps go and copy and paste the subjective questions that are down here on your second and third attempt to get full completion credit for this assignment. There'll be another. That's the reason why it's labeled 13-1 is because there's probably going to be a 13-2 that's going to have a writing assignment that will be scored based on using, you guessed it, evidence for this. When we talk more about this as a class next week, because this is going to be due on Sunday night, when we talk more about this as a class next week, that's when the essay will become more clear. There may be an Ed puzzle on the Sepoy Rebellion. Watching the movie Mongol Pandey. That's only if something happens with Miss Copico and she's not able to come in. So if you need to time me 11 imperialism, not imperialism in the Congo, but it should say it should say Sepoy Rebellion here. It should say Sepoy Rebellion here. And if needed, you may do that. We may evaluate that. And that's just kind of a dramatization of what we were doing on with the play when we looked at it on Wednesday. So that's only if needed. If you're not, if Ms. Copico comes in, you're watching this on Friday, and you're working on this, and I've really already described everything. So, anyways, those are the instructions. All right, so go ahead and get going, and I will see you on Monday.